Good morning, welcome to the music channel that I'm putting out on YouTube. I've had a lot of emails and discussions with people regarding different types of guitars and what type of guitar is better than this or what type of guitar is better than that. I don't know really. I only like what I like, which is not probably the right thing to say. I buy things that I like, and I like quality instruments as well. So, you know, that's pretty much it, really. I was asked about Ovations and what I thought about Ovations in the last couple of days. I had an email off a guy in West Wales, a place called Llanelli, and did I rate Ovation guitars? It's not for me to rate at all, but I have got an Ovation, and here it is. This is a 1976 Custom Legend Ovation. This was a gift to my father, and this is a keeper, so this will never be sold. It's a lovely guitar. It's got a lovely sound on it. The only thing I can't get to grips with on Ovation is the fact that they slide. Now, they have got grip pads on them, okay, but this guitar originally, all right, or not originally, but this guitar is a left-handed instrument because my father was left-handed, and I've been told from good sources there was only 4 of these ever made as a left-handed instrument. I've actually got the price tag of this guitar when it was first put out on sale, but as I said, it was a gift to my father, so it's got a lovely sound on it. Okay, designed by a guy called Charles Kamen, and the Ovation guitar was the result of 2 years of scientific research to develop an instrument that would capture the whole sound, because Charles Kamen believed that sound got trapped inside the standard flat top guitar, and he believed that it needed to flow and then escape from the sound hole, and he's probably got a good point, because these guitars are extremely loud. They're very loud instruments. Uncomfortable to hold. That's why I think they're a good guitar to have if you're sitting down, like the old Val Doonigan thing, you know. The design was as a result of 2 years of research. He called it his aerospace technology, and this is known as, believe it or not, this is going to be very anal and very sad for all those people that know me. This is called semi-parabolic. Okay, so the guitar shape is semi-parabolic, and this is as a result of all those years of research. And this material, a lot of people think, oh yes, those guitars with a plastic back. Okay, again, this is very anal, okay. The material is known as, ready for this, lyro cord. And these first went on sale in 1966, the Ovation guitar. Famously publicised by Glenn Campbell, of course. A lot of guys have played Ovations, and obviously my father was one of them, but this is a very wonderful instrument, and these are the same strings that my father put on this guitar. My father died in 1996, and I just turned the strings round. They sound dead, but beautiful instrument, and one I'm proud to have. Okay, so there you go, my friend. There's the that's my take on the Ovation. All right, great guitar, difficult to hold, difficult to stand up with and hold like that, because that's quite a wide bottom end, you know, and holding a bottom end is not always as easy as it looks, is it? And but it's a beautiful instrument, and I'm keeping it. Okay, so that's the Ovation for you. So predominantly I have Martin guitars, and I like all genres of acoustic type music, and I also like the folk side of things. And I got into Gordon Lightfoot a couple of years back. I thought Gordon Lightfoot's a great songwriter. Now this is my Martin D12 28. Okay, my wife bought me this for Christmas, and it's a cracking instrument. It's a 12-string Martin, Indian rosewood back and sides, beautiful wood in that. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's a cracking guitar. I love it. And a lot of people have said, well, what about the strings? Well, what about them? You know, what about them? Completely different sound, as all of you know. So, do I use it on my live shows? Not yet, but I'm going to. But I can only use it for a couple of numbers, you know. It oozes folk, doesn't it? Listen to that. I can see you lying back in a satin dress, in a room where you do what you don't confess. Sundown, you better take care if I find you be messing around my backstairs. Absolutely stupendous, love it. And of course you can do some of the old early Waylon. Someone's gonna get hurt before you're through. I won't be surprised if that someone is you. Gonna find when it's too late, hearts that just won't wait, just to satisfy you, just to satisfy you. So yes, the 12-string Martin, absolutely great instrument, and a quiet taste, because I don't think I could play it the whole show, but it is nonetheless in my prized collection. So that's the 12-stringer. So low-end guitars, low-end, high-end, does it matter? Well, it's for sound-wise, it probably doesn't, certainly for expense. This is a Martin D Custom. Okay, it's got Sapele back and sides. All right, and like a matte finish, spruce top. Not a big lover of these bridges, but I had this guitar at a very good price. It's got a label on the inside. It tells us it's made in Nazareth in the USA. Now the DX models are all made in Mexico, which is fine, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. They're obviously going for expenditure and you know, cheap labor and that kind of thing. But the ones that are made in Mexico are like laminate HPL back and sides, where this is actually wood. Okay, lovely sound on it. I got retro strings on this. strings are very, very, very rounded. There's not a lot of ring to them. Sound very dead, you know. But I like retro strings because they got that old thump kind of. So yeah, great guitars, you know. You probably pick these up for anywhere between £700, £1,000. Brand new, just over £1,000. I would think 1,100 perhaps. This is part of my authentic collection of Martins. This is the Authentic Series D18. I've actually got a LR Baggs full anthem pickup in this. LR Baggs, great pickups. They sound fantastic through good gear. But this is the mahogany back and sides, again spruce top, beautiful wood in that. Nice scratch plate. I'm a lover of good scratch plates, and that noise you can hear on the inside is the battery pack that's come off the pickup. And there's somebody mowing the lawn up there. Really does annoy me. But there you go. Half a tree on top of my Jag. These are retro strings as well. Sounds a little bit brighter than the D Custom. Lovely guitar. And you know what? Everybody back in the day used D18s because they're just a great workhorse, great instrument. And this is one of the best sounding guitars I think I've got, to be honest. Martin Authentic D18, fantastic piece of equipment. Quite pricey, but we're not here to talk about price, alright? I was asked just to put something together for my new music channel that's going to be on YouTube, so you can subscribe by hitting the button. So hit the button. Okay, so where is it? This is a 1977 Martin D28. This was a gift. This was given to me as a gift by a very old friend, and it's what they call a keeper, okay? Listen to that. Okay. Now there's a lot of there's a lot of discussion to be had with 1970s Martins. Now 1970s Martins were either very, very good or very, very bad, because they try to get as many pushed out as they possibly could, and in the 70s the quality did tend to drop off with the Martins, unfortunately. But Chris Martin has done a great job of pulling them back, and he's now making some of the best guitars that I think Martin have ever made. And but I like quality. I like quality stuff. Okay, this sounds lovely. A little story behind this. There's a little black mark there, just there. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you the name of the guy who was playing the guitar, because it's personal to me. And, when he was playing on stage, he turned like this. Back in the day, he turned, and a guy turned the other way, and the top string of his guitar stuck into the wood. And and he was going to get it cleaned out, but he decided he was going to leave it, and that guitar is in superb condition there, and there's a little tiny black dot up there, so that tells a story of that guitar. So anybody ever looks at it and says, oh, what's that little mark there, I can tell them this is how it happened, you know. That's my D28, 1977. So we're on 70s Martins. Like I said, 70s was a bad time for Martin guitar, and they needed to do something to try and bring back some life into Martin, and this was the result. This is a 1976 Martin D76 Employee. Now this one was presented to a guy called John Peers when John Peers worked for Martin, and then obviously he went off and did his own thing, and you must have heard of John Peers guitar strings. Well, this is the same guy. This was his guitar, and that guy's getting on my tits. And this instrument is one of 96 made. They made 96 of these guitars, one for each employee of the factory in Nazareth. They made 1976 of the D76 model, which is slightly different to this. We got a gold plate on the inside. This has got a paper label. It's the first Martin to have a paper label signed by Chris Martin III. Would you believe that? Indian rosewood back and sides. Okay, there's one thing I need to say about this guitar. This guitar is absolutely mint condition. Okay, I don't know what to say about it. It's not played. It's over 40 years old. I mean, it's got star inlays, and then look at that headstock there. I mean this was groundbreaking for its time. And this is the guitar that they thought would generate some life back into Martin, but it didn't sell very well. I mean, these were given away as project gifts to each individual person, but it's got a fantastic sound. And when you think about it, for the first limited edition, I personally would have thought that they might have put a bit more into this, because it's, in reality, it's a D35 with a little bit of fanciness on it. Quite an expensive guitar as well when it came out. I just don't understand why they didn't add a little bit extra to it, you know. But hey, doesn't have to have any fanciness to sound good, does it? And this does sound good. And a completely different sound again to the D28. Louder instrument because it's got a D35 body. And the top just vibrates, you can feel it. People that play like this, okay, like this, with their hands over the body of the guitar and just go like that. Oh no, you've got to let that mother ring. It's not. Put your hand over there, your arm over there like that, or there. You're gonna crouch that sound. So get your arm there. And beautiful guitar, and them strings, believe it or not, are 20-year-old on this guitar. I've only changed them. Sorry, no, they're not. That's the other one. I've only changed these strings once. I've had this guitar now 10 years, and I'm watching the scratch plate, because the scratch plate does move at a different pace than the wood and the nitrocelluloid lacquer, because they used to put the scratch plate directly onto bare wood and then coat it after, which is a bad thing, because the nitrocelluloid, the wood, and the scratch plate material all shrink and move at different speeds. So this will shrink a lot quicker than the wood, and that's what cracks the guitar. Okay, so I'm keeping an eye on it, and it has started to move slightly. I can see that it has moved a little bit, but at the moment it's looking like a new one, isn't it? I mean, that's over 40 years old, and it's a beaut, and it's a keeper, or is it? I don't know yet, but I think it's going to be a keeper, to be honest. I've had it for a long time, and there's a huge history behind it as well. So that's that. Okay, the Authentic series. All right, this is the 1937 Authentic D28. Okay, come back. There you go. A bit blurry there. As I said, the 1937 Authentic series. Quite an expensive guitar, and to buy one of these of that year, you're looking at $150,000. This is not an original, by the way, because the originals are Brazilian rosewood back and sides. Martin made one Brazilian rosewood back and sides version of these, and they sold it for $65,000. Anyway, this has got forward shifted scallop brace, which allows the top to move a lot more freer than rear shifted or standard X brace. It's scalloped, which means it's shaved the bracing down to allow the wood to vibrate even more. It's hide glue, and all of this build is done on the same spec as the original 1937. It's got Madagascan rosewood back and sides, which is a lovely wood. I like Madagascan rosewood. I also like Cocobolo, which is another lovely wood. All come under the new CITES law as well. I mean, it's getting more and more difficult to import and export good quality guitars, especially if you've got Brazilian rosewood. Then, you know, if you've got Brazilian rosewood, then you're going to struggle to bring it in and take it out of the country. And I've got a Brazilian rosewood that I'll show you in a while. So this is the 1937 Authentic Series D28. It's an absolutely stunning guitar. It's got the what they call the VTS work done on it, which is a torrefied top. It's aged and it's kind of cooked in a little while to give it that old sound, I guess, and look, really. I mean, I've had this guitar 2 years now, and I was the first person in the UK to have this type of the 1937 Martin. I had to order it. They made it specifically for myself through my Martin agent, who's based in Pembrokeshire. His name is Paul Southwick, and I deal with Paul for most of my equipment. Now this has actually changed colour since I've had it. It's gone quite dark, and it was quite light when I bought it, and it's darkening, and it's only been 2 years, and I can actually see it every time I open the case. It looks darker and darker and darker, but it's a beautiful guitar. It's got a very wide neck, completely different sound to the others, as you can hear. The news is out, all over town. got, it doesn't ring, but it's got that. I got a feeling 'cause I'm blue, oh Lord, since my baby said goodbye. Absolutely fantastic. So there it is, that's a keeper. My wife bought me this, and that's the D28, 1937. Lovely instrument. Absolutely stunning. So, now we come to Brazilian rosewood. Brazilian rosewood. The embargo kicked off in 1967-68, which made it illegal to import or make anything out of Brazilian rosewood. So, here we go. This is my 1973 Stewart Mossman, SL Mossman guitar. Okay, spruce top, Brazilian rosewood back and sides, 3-piece back. Now a lot of people will think, especially the Mossman buffs, why have you got 3-piece? Because they didn't make 3-piece, well they did. Okay, this is a 3-piece Brazilian rosewood golden era. Okay, this is one of the very first golden eras that were ever made, and I'm very pleased to have this. There's a wonderful story behind this guitar. The previous owner of this guitar, who I had it off, is unfortunately no longer with us. But the owner before him, or the estate where this came from, is a story to tell. I can tell you that now, but I ain't going to tell you on this. So, this is the Mossman. Okay, comes with a broken peg, which I did yesterday. But it's got all the signatures on the inside of the label there, which is a very sought after instrument in the bluegrass world apparently. I've only ever seen two other Mossmans, but I've never seen a 1973 golden era. They are very rare. There's lots of checking on this guitar, okay, but it's a completely different sound to the Martin. But Brazilian rosewood, 1973. Martin stopped using Brazilian in 68. They still had Brazilian rosewood and they still make guitars, but not on the same scale. Don't know if this is a keeper or if this is a goer. I've had it for 4 years now, and I can't seem to get to grips with it because it's got a very thin neck on it, you know. And again, this design is such heavily braced. This was under the instruction of Doc Watson, worked with Stewart Mossman to get the guitar just right, you know. And Doc Watson said that the Mossman that he was given was the second best sounding guitar that he'd ever heard. And you know, that's pretty cool. It's a very sharp sounding guitar, very bright sounding as well. There's an eagle and he keeps on flying over mountains kept by snow. Very bright sounding guitar, and it's got a very slim neck on it, but there's a reason for the slim neck. Completely different sound. Great guitar though. So there it is, Brazilian rosewood back and sides, an absolute gem, and very fortunate to have it as well. So other instruments, other woods. Let's have a think. Mahogany. This is a mid-60s Series 1 Fender Newporter that was got for me from Reno. It came from a pawn shop in Reno, in Nevada, and don't know the history prior to that, but apparently a guy went into the pawn shop needing money to pay off a gambling debt, so the story goes, and he never returned to buy the guitar, which is a shame, but here it is. It's a Fender Newporter Series 1 with an original Viking bridge, all mahogany. This guitar has a huge story to tell. Even since it's been in my possession, it's been dropped on the head. It's been left in the back of the van when we were with the band playing on a festival, and it baked in the back of the van, and the neck ended up like this. And for 5 years it was on the wall in the house because it couldn't be played. Until I bumped into somebody from Cardiff, actually in Amsterdam, and he's a guitar tech. I won't tell you his name, but he is one of the best that I've seen. And I said about the Newporter and this, that, and the other, and it's dead, and I'd love to have it playable again. And he said, well, you know what? He said, it's wood, and wood can be repaired. And he had a great point, you know. So I took it up to him and left it with him for a couple of months, and I came back, and I tell you what, it's as good as new. It really is. And it's in a bit of a state because it's been played. Obviously, this guitar was somebody's bread and butter instrument, you know. It's got a couple of splits on it that have been carefully monitored and looked after, and there's no problem with them. They've been braced on the inside. There's no issues. Absolutely stunning guitar. The low-end Fender acoustic that they brought out in the 60s, the Palomino, and then they had the Wildwood and the Malibu and many others. Some are rarer than others. My father had one of these, and probably because he had one, I wanted one, and so I looked and looked and looked for one, and eventually found it. The scratch plate is made out of a material that NASA use for scratch heat resistant tiles that they put on their aircraft, and same material as this. Now Fender brought this instrument back out in about 2011, I think, and they wanted £3,000 for this instrument. The Japanese and the Koreans have brought out the Fender Newporter, but it looks nothing like this. So Fender brought them back out under Fender VAT style, okay, and it was a gloss finish. This is not a gloss finish. This has just been stained. It's all mahogany, front, back, and sides. And they wanted £3,000 for the reissue. So I didn't pay that for this, I can assure you. But I was going to say I'm open to offers, but this is a keeper, I'm afraid, because of the history behind it. Unless things start to go drastically wrong in my life, then this is going to be kept. It's a lovely guitar. It sounds great plugged in. It really does. I've actually got a Barker's Berry inside a pickup on the inside of this, and the work done on it has been second to none, and it's brought new life back into an instrument that was, in my opinion, dead. It's not a great sounding guitar, really, acoustically, but when it's plugged in, it sounds lovely. It really does. It's a folk guitar, you know. Lovely neck on this. So that's the Series 1 Fender Newporter. Okay, there it is. Great guitar. Great guitar. Love it. They are about. There's a few of them around. So keep your eye out. So that's the Newporter. Oh, knocking guitars everywhere. So what else have I got? Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a think. Showing you that. Oh, right. No, I'll leave that one till later. Have I shown you? No, I haven't. This have I? This is one of my pride and joys. This is my old D35. Now, that was my dad's, and this is the guitar that he used to put food on the table when I was a little boy. This is the guitar that almost cost him his marriage. This is the guitar that almost drove him and killed him into the ground. And this is probably the guitar that was instrumental in his early departing in life, along with cigarettes as well, I suppose. So there's the story behind this. 2 scratch plates. My father was left-handed. He put the other scratch plate on when he first had the guitar. I was going to take both of them off and have new ones put on, nice Tortoloid ones. But then I thought, no, I'm not going to bother, because these were put on by my father, you know. And it's had a little bit of work done to it due to the shrinkage, as mentioned earlier on, the shrinkage of the scratch plates. Again, by our guitar tech in Cardiff. He did a great job. He removed all the araldite that my father had put on, because all this had been damaged, and Gareth did a great job of reclaiming the wood that had for some reason disappeared inside the guitar, and he found it, and he did a great job of repairing that hole with the original material. He did a fantastic job, and those scratch plates came up really well when they were polished, you know, and I was really happy and pleased with the work. There's a bit of wear here, but you know, my father used to beat the living daylights out of this guitar, you know, and you can see that on the fretboard. I was going to have the frets redone, but I'm not going to bother again, because he wore them frets down, and the guitar doesn't buzz. It sounds fantastic. It's a D35's 3-piece back, so it's Indian rosewood. You can see that there was a Fablon circle put on there so that the back would be protected from his belt. But when I acquired this guitar just before my father died, the bridge had lifted, it had pulled the wood, it had split, and we had to have a new bridge fitted. So I had a new bridge constructed from an old piece of Brazilian rosewood in a furniture polisher in Oxford in England, and he did a fantastic job, and took it back to my father and showed my father the guitar just before he died, and he was well happy with it. And you know what, that bridge hasn't moved since, and the guitar can tell a story. It really can. But it's got new life since Gareth has worked on it. Some say the action's a little bit high, but I personally don't think so. I mean, listen to that. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep this fight because you're mine. I walk the line. So that's my father's D35. And you know what? For many years, the guy that owned this guitar played alongside my old man, and these two guitars would be on stage together right through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and now they're together in my house. So that's a great story, I think, and this definitely a keeper, because it's my old man's, and it'll always be my old man's. And it actually feels like a guitar, you know. There's a little bit of weight to that guitar, and a little bit of credibility. I can't add much credibility to the new stuff that I've got, but when I get old stuff like that, I mean, that's played alongside some of the biggest names in country music, and it's very credible, and I'm very proud to have it. So the next thing, this is my OM40 LE. Okay. Story I had. A story about this is that the guy that sold this to me can no longer play due to health issues, which is a shame. I bought it off him, and with the agreement that if he ever wanted it back, he could have it back for the same price as I paid for it. The only thing I don't like about this guitar is the scratch plate. It's just a cheap plastic thing, and I don't think Martin should have ever put that on there. They should have put a nice scratch plate on there. It just doesn't do it for me, to be honest. But the guitar itself is superb, one of the best that I've got. It's limited edition, one of only 28 and one of only 8 as Sunburst. It's got a Martin miking system inside, which is a phenomenal setup. Signed label by Chris Martin, and it's got ebony machine heads. It's a fantastic instrument. It's an OM, so it's nice and small. It's a good picking. It's a good picking guitar. Well, it's a 9-pound hammer, but it's a little too heavy, honey, for my size, for my size. And I use this on my live shows now. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful guitar. Rosewood back and sides, spruce top, of course, and originally sold through Elderly Instruments in the States, and the price was $10,000 back in 1994, which is when this was made. It's a 94 model, so it puts it in the vintage bracket, but $10,000. I mean, I didn't pay that for it, I can assure you. But when it came out, that's what it was worth, or that's what the price tag was. Now, I don't think they probably sold many of them for that price. But when you look at OM41s, OM42s, OM45s, they're up there between £5,000, £6,000, £7,000, £8,000. So you're looking at $12,000, $14,000 in some. It's crazy money. It really is. But this is at the moment, this is a keeper. There are marks on this, unfortunately. There's a I don't know if you can see it. There's a little, when I say marks, I mean, I don't mean, you know, marks as in gouges, little dink, tiny little dink. But it's a cracking instrument, it really is, and it sounds beautiful when it's in front of a microphone. So that's that. This is my custom built Adrian Farmer signature model Ian Calford, would you believe? Now this was handmade for me by Adrian Farmer. Obviously it's the old original Martin body shape, okay, with lots of intricacies going up the neck, and there's a story behind the headstock as well. Pyramid style bridge, all right, ebony scratch plate. So the guy that put me in touch with Adrian Farmer was a guy called Brian Dowdall, and Brian plays bluegrass music in the East Midlands of the UK, and I spoke to Brian about how much I would enjoy having a guitar personalised and made for me. So he put me in touch with Adrian Farmer. Now Adrian makes quality instruments, and he's a fantastic player himself, and he's an all-round bluegrass guy, and some of the stuff that he's done in the past is eye-opening, and his history as well, going back to back in the day, is well worth listening to. So this is spruce top. Okay, it's torrified again, which is aged, vibrated, aged to give it the old look and the old sound. This guitar sounds like a 60-year-old guitar. All hide glue. It's got forward shifted scallop brace, which allows it to vibrate a bit more, and the workmanship inside is absolutely exceptional. It's got mother of pearl, abalone. 5 types of abalone shell have been used for this inlay, and it's got Madagascan rosewood back and sides. Probably the nicest Madagascan rosewood that I've seen. It's fantastic, and I've got a series of photographs from the beginning of the build right the way through to the day I received it. I was presented it in Amsterdam, and it's just a beautiful instrument with curly maple neck. Look at that, cut from a tree that was felled during the 1988 hurricane that we had in the southeast of England, that claimed the lives of several people. And life goes on for this tree in the neck of this guitar, and other necks that Adrian is making for his instruments. Anyway, why the scratch plate? People say to me when I play it. What's the story behind that? Well, I'll tell you. Back in the day when my father was a bit of a street urchin in the docklands of Cardiff during the war, the Second World War and after the war, he had a monkey given to him by a merchant seaman that had come into Cardiff, and he gave him a baby monkey. You wouldn't get away with that today, would you? I mean, for God's sake. And he taught that monkey, because that monkey was my father's closest companion, and he taught the monkey to collect money, go around it with a hat and collect money, while my father would dance on the side of the street. And if you look closely, you can see the monkey there holding a cap, okay, and there's little dots around the pavement then, if you want, and those dots resemble the coins that were being thrown into the cap. So as time went on, the monkey got older, and eventually the monkey died, and my father was in his late teens by this time, and he had the monkey's head removed from the body, This is a strange thing. And he had the skull then mounted onto a cane. And if you see the monkey there, the monkey is holding his skull that's mounted on a cane. So we got the cane there, we got the monkey there. Unfortunately, in the late 50s, my father had a car accident and ended up in the dock in Cardiff, and the cane was lost in the swell of the water. My father got out, obviously, but the cane was lost. So that was part of the history that went with it. But we've kept it alive, and we've kept it on the scratch plate. So there it is, inlaid into this ebony scratch plate on this beautiful piece of wood. And in there as well, because my father was a left-handed guitar player, there's a left-handed guitar there with a scratch plate on the opposite side. You know, the attention to detail on this guitar that Adrian put in was phenomenal. I sent in the story of my father, and he basically built this guitar, and this guitar is a whole story of like my father's life. So, talking of life, we got the tree of life going up the neck. The last words that my father ever said to me was, "The beat goes on." And inside there is engraved on that abalone, "The beat goes on." Okay, it's there, it's across here. Those were the last words he said to me. "The beat goes on, son." So we included that there at the base of the tree of life. So this tree of life goes on, okay, and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And then obviously there's my name at the top, okay, and the Storyteller, which is my solo show, which is a great show to come and see. And obviously the person that's not influenced me, but the person who has stood by me and supported everything I've ever done is my wife. So I decided we would have to have my wife's name in the Bigsby style headstock, because I'm a lover of the Bigsby guitar. Particularly the Martin Bigsby, so there's a connection there as well. So we had the Bigsby style headstock put on this with golden grovers, okay, because there's light at the end of the tunnel, as they say. So guitar named after my wife, hand built in memory of my father, signed on the inside by Adrian Farmer and Brian Dowdle. And a fantastic instrument it is. In front of a microphone it sounds wonderful. Completely different sound to everything else that I've got. Beautiful. And that's about it, really. Lovely little sound on this. Anyway, that's it. So join the channel, subscribe, press the button, and send me your requests, send me your questions, anything you want to know, anything you'd like to find out. I could talk all day, of course. I got some other guitars and bits and pieces around. I'm after a specific instrument at the moment, and I'm hoping to get it soon, so we'll see. I'm off to do some rehearsing today with my acoustic preachers, the new band, and hopefully we're going to be releasing the album sometime after Christmas. I'm hoping to finish out this week, and at the moment all's looking well, and see you on the flip side. The beat goes on.